The devil's paradox is that he ends up cementing his defeat through the very strategies and attacks by which he intends to avoid it. Genesis 3:14, he will crawl on his belly all the days of his life and he will eat dust. And then verse 15 says that he will strike the heel of the offspring, which is Jesus Christ. So the point here is that because he's always crawling on his belly and only ever attacks at the heel, which is on the ground, in attacking, striking, he ends up kicking dust, which is what he ends up eating. So the very attack he meant to avoid eating dust is what ends up kicking up the dust that he ends up eating. And that's true of all of his strategies and attacks against people in Christ and Christ himself, such as Zechariah 13:7, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Strike the heel, strike the shepherd. The strike of the shepherd is what happens in Mark 14. Verse 27, Jesus prophesies at the Lord's Supper that the strike is about to happen. Verse 50, the sheep scatter because of the strike, which is Jesus being arrested in Gethsemane and falling into the hands of the chief priests and elders who will lead him to his crucifixion. Luke 22:3 implies that Satan wanted that sequence of events because he incited Judas to do the thing that triggered that series of events leading to Jesus being arrested and being crucified. But 1 Corinthians 2:7-8 tells us that had the rulers of this age understood the mystery of the wisdom of God, they wouldn't have crucified the Lord of glory, Jesus. And those rulers, I would argue, aren't just human beings like Pontius Pilate and Herod, but it's also spiritual powers and authorities, spiritual rulers, spoken of in Colossians 2:15, who Jesus disarmed and defeated because he went to the cross. And that is the paradox being played out. They wanted Jesus to go to the cross so that they could avoid defeat, but Jesus going to the cross is what cemented their defeat. I believe the same to be true of those who are in Christ, in the sense that the enemy has planned and purposed certain things to cause us harm, but we have the power to trample over the snake and the scorpion and over all the power of the enemy. And so those things that the enemy has planned for our harm will end up actually cementing the enemy's own defeat and work for our good. So,